Oh, hey guys. Sorry to catch it like this. I just came back from the theaters after watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I had a good time at the movie theaters, but you know, as a Sonic fan, it really troubles me that in an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2, with Gerald Robotnik in it, they cut out the nude bath scene. Cowards. Hey everyone, Chill here, back from Green Hill Zone, and welcome to a brand new video. Happy holidays. You know, no matter who you are, what you celebrate, what you're doing during this time, it's the end of the year. Enjoy yourself. I hope you're having a great time. And I believe an amazing way to celebrate the holidays on the Chillixion channel is to give, what's that? A first impressions video. I know, a little anticlimactic, but I don't usually make first impressions type deals, at least not anymore. The last time I kind of did a first impressions video, I guess, was the X-Men 97 video, but that was more of an analysis on what the X-Men are and a media recommendation after thinking about the show for a long time. So I guess before that, it would be like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. That's crazy. The main reason I don't make a lot of first impressions videos, one, is because I'm really bad at watching shows when they come out, but two, usually I don't have much to say. I'm just a random guy with a microphone and a hole in the wall. I don't know why some people would come to me for first impressions on shows like, I don't know, what's coming out. However, I am a giant Sonic fan. I mean, I wish I was wearing my mug, literally my mug. Sonic on my mug. I love Sonic. So consider this a one-time occasion. Don't expect a lot of these first impressions type videos, but I really want to get my thoughts on this movie out there. So I'm just going to give my thoughts on the movie. This first section of the video is going to be no spoilers, but just pay attention, because when spoilers are going to come, I'm going to let you know. Also, sorry if you guys hear noise. I'm currently cat sitting, and there's a cat here. I want to see if I can get him on camera. Here he is.
It was a bitch.
Everyone is wondering, is Sonic the Hedgehog 3 good or is it bad? It's good. I had a good time in the theaters. Like, I'm not joking. From when I'm recording this, I was at the theaters like 3 hours ago, and I had a good time. Aside from these fucking loud ass little assholes who couldn't stop fucking talking. Oh, bro! Oh, my fucking phone, man! I never wanted to like choke someone, but I had a good time. When we sat down and we got our snacks, me and my friends genuinely had a blast. Sorry, this fucking cat. It was a blast in theaters. Like, it's a good, fun action movie for kids, like these Sonic movies tend to be. And I can say that this is probably my favorite of all three. I guess traditionally I'm supposed to save if I liked it or not for the end, but I mean, it's good. 2 times it's a coincidence, 3 times it is a pattern, and it is evident that the team over at Sega can make good kids movies about Sonic the Hedgehog. The Knuckles show is a bit boring, but you know. I would say compared to the other Sonic movies right now, it is easily the best one. Easily. Now, is that because they lean more into Sonic things? Yes. Again, not to get into spoiler territory just yet, but they are not embarrassed to be a movie about Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, Sonic 1 did a good job of adapting Sonic, not so much any specific game, but the character and iconography of Sonic, and putting that into movie form while keeping the character's spirit and, you know, kickstarting a larger story of Sonic films. Sonic 2 did an even better job of adapting parts of games, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, with more characters, more lore, more Sonic things that the movie held right to its chest and, you know, was very proud of. Sonic 3 is like the second movie on crack when it comes to how much it loves its source material and shows respect to its source material. Not to say that it is 100% like everything is the same, everything you remember from your childhood and how you felt about it is the same, there is no difference, because that's not true. There are differences. We're gonna get into the specifics later in this video in the spoiler section, but just for now, there are gonna be some different things. and motherfucker, get the fuck down. And so have an open mind. That's what I would say. Especially if you're a Sonic fan that is vocal on the internet. Have an open mind. But in a very similar way, I do think that this movie does enough fan service moments to make sure those fans are happy too. It seems like everyone that is currently working at Sega is pretty aware of what the fans want, and unless it's paying vocalists properly. And none of the references or nostalgia stuff feels like a cheap grab just to make you go, oh my god. It is a bit silly, it is a bit cheeky, and it definitely leans on, you know, the silliness of it, but also the silliness that the Sonic series holds in general. Sonic is not a super serious, like, mature series. It's made for kids, and the fans embrace it a lot. Like, the amount of Sonic comedy and parody videos, like, we know this shit is silly. And it's nice to see that Sega's also embracing the silliness in tons of different ways. One of those ways is the characters. They are funny, which might be worrying to some people, but I will say that the characters are funny. There were moments that I legitimately laughed. There were moments that my friends legitimately laughed. These movies are pretty funny. And I know some people get worried about Marvel jokes. I don't really think Marvel jokes are a thing. I just called that internet jokes. I can make a video about that. Let me know if you want to see a video on why I think Marvel jokes aren't real. But there are definitely no jokes in that caliber, like super corny. Like, there are silly jokes, but this is a kids movie. In terms of characters, you know the ones you're excited about. Sonic is just as fun as ever. Ben Schwartz kills it, probably his best performance. No spoilers, but this movie gets a variety of different Sonic emotions, which is always fun to see. I know with the games and with public perception, it's really easy to think that Sonic is just this one type of character, but trust me, with no spoilers, this movie does a lot for Sonic feeling different types of emotions and expressing those very well. I could definitely see that some people will say, oh, Sonic's annoying here, he's a bit too snarky here, he's a bit too sarcastic, a bit too impatient here, but I kind of like it. This Sonic is a child. He's very, very young, and if you look through all the movies, you are actively seeing him mature, and I think this movie is actually a big part of that. But with seeing him mature, he is going to be a bit more snarky and a bit more sarcastic. But let's remember that Sonic, he's a snarky and sarcastic guy. Sonic was literally designed to have an attitude, so his snark makes sense for the character. In terms of Sonic's friends, Tails is actually really, really cool in this movie. I do feel like Tails felt a bit sidelined in the second one, surprisingly, you know, for a movie called Sonic 2, where the Tails were pretty important. But in this movie, I legitimately feel like Tails had a way more of a role and was used way more and had a very clear character arc and had some interactions with some characters that weren't Sonic that I completely adored, to the point where I wish there was more of Tails. I think this movie used him very, very well, but, you know, I think it falls flat in the fact that it doesn't feel like, you know, he is standing right next to Sonic as one of the main characters, which he probably isn't, but I think, you know, there's the potential. Next is Idris Elba as Knuckles, and he kills it again. I mean, he did good in the second movie. He did really good in that Knuckles show, even though I was extremely, extremely bored. And he does really good here. I will say the character sometimes does sort of fall into that category of just being comic relief or just saying the same few catchphrases over and over again. But this movie manages to give him some serious character highlights, and especially at the end, which connects to some of the major themes that I don't want to talk about here because, to me, that's spoilers. There's a moment in this movie where Knuckles has a confrontation with a certain character, and it gets really emotionally intense, and it really shows you who Knuckles is as a character. Like, just as much as that Knuckles TV show did, this moment made me feel like, yeah, that is a major character that if this franchise continues in the future, will be an all-star. More than he already is. Those are the heroes I want to talk about. Let's talk about Dr. Eggman, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey absolutely kills it as Dr. Eggman, probably my favorite performance within the 3 movies from him. He is endlessly funny, has so much energy, and has mastered the mannerisms of the character. There were moments where I almost tricked myself into thinking that Jim Carrey was too silly for Dr. Eggman, but he's called Dr. Eggman. I mean, that little scene in Lost World isn't gonna suddenly make me think that this character is, like, super deep. Jim Carrey is having so much fun as a legitimate major villain in a motion picture. And since the trailer spoiled it, Gerald is in it. The choice to keep Gerald alive in this movie is an interesting one, and we'll talk about it later in the spoil section. But in terms of performance, Jim Carrey kills it as Gerald. He doesn't just feel like a rehash of Eggman. He feels like an entirely unique character, and honestly, you could have tricked me into thinking that these were two different actors. But Gerald also carries it as a villain and steals the show equally as much as Eggman, but just in a different way. And the final major character that I want to talk about is Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow is the best part of this movie. Easily. Shadow is the best part of this movie. Keanu Reeves kills it as a voice actor for Shadow without sounding too much like just a generic Keanu Reeves voice. Like, it legitimately sounds like Shadow. Like, there is so much emotion and so much personality that is showed off for this character in this movie. No spoilers, but his motivation is pretty much the same, but just fleshed out a bit more. This movie goes less the route of a very Shakespearean speaking sort of Shadow like the adventure games had it. Here, Keanu is delivering a bit more of a naturalistic Shadow. Not too much where it's unrecognizable, but enough where you can see some real, emotion from a character that is also pretty young. Like, even though Shadow was stuck in cryostasis for 50 years, he is still, like, mentally and emotionally a child. He's just not a human child, so it's a bit less weird when he sounds like a grown man. Shadow is an excellent character. If you're as much of a fan of Shadow as I am, you are going to love him in this movie. Every single scene with him will just be perfect. The way they use him for action, the way they use him for dialogue. Also, his design, this movie really made me appreciate how well designed Shadow is, and he looks amazing in this art style. Now onto some negatives for Shadow. I wish he was in the movie more. He's not barely in the movie, but he's also not in the movie a whole ton. I am glad it is a lot more spread out. It's not like he's all shoved at the end or all shoved in the middle. You are getting a good amount of Shadow throughout the entire movie. I just wish it was a little bit more of Shadow. When we get into Shadow's backstory, those scenes are some of my favorites because they are showing so much personality with Shadow. Plus, any scene with dialogue with another character where they're not fighting, that is showing personality for this character, and it's a personality that I am interested in. I just wish we saw more of it. Especially Shadow interacting with Gerald. I definitely think the movie didn't have enough of that. But also, this movie is pretty as shit. Obviously, I can't use footage, so I'm not gonna talk about this for too long, but this movie is beautiful. There are scenes in this movie that I'm like, these are beautiful scenes. These are scenes of Shadow and Maria under the moonlight. There is a shot where Shadow is in Japan and it is raining and it is just his face. It's like an extreme close-up. It is a beautiful shot. It is genuinely a beautiful shot. Whoever was cinematographer, director, storyboard artist, whatever, whoever chose these shots was having a blast. This movie is colorful, this movie is fun, this movie is kinetic, this movie knows how to use a camera. There's only so much I can talk about without, spoiling the movie, but I will say this is the best looking Sonic movie by far. If nothing else made me want more from this team, from this franchise, it is how this movie looks. I want to see so much more like this. It's directing that I honestly wish other Sonic media would use sometimes. And the music, it's good. We're technically in the non-spoiler section, but I will say, Sonic fans, you are getting some of the songs you want. Not every song you want is there, right? But some of them are. And the ones they do choose make sense. And the way they use them is so much more than throwing on an MP3 of a track and playing it over. They are rearranging them, recomposing them, making them leitmotifs, making them character themes. This is what they should have been doing from the first movie, but I'm glad they're at least doing it now and going full throttle. I will say there is one theme in this movie that sounds just like Iron Man. Like, not the character, but the song that I can't play for copyright reasons. Yeah. It sounds just like that, and I couldn't stop thinking about that while I was watching the movie. And you know what I can't stop thinking about? How you should click that like button. I got you again, even on the last video of the year. That's crazy. But seriously, y'all, it really helps the channel and lets me know that you guys want more videos just like this. Thank you all so much for the support. And you know what? Because you guys have been doing so good, good little audience. You know what? Because you guys have been doing great, I want to give you guys a little bit crazier of a goal. One to end the year off on. Let's get this video to 80 likes. If this video gets 80 likes, lets me know you guys want more videos just like this. More Sonic videos. Or more movie videos. How about this? Click that like button, get it to 80, and comment down below. What type of videos do you want to see from me? More videos about Sonic? or more videos about animated movies. Support the content and support the creator. It's because of storytellers like you that I can keep making this content. Anyway, let's go back to the video. Okay, that's everything I can talk about without spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch it. But now is spoiler time. You can't complain that I spoiled you after this point because it's spoiler time. Whoop whoop. Okay, they should have shot Maria, right? Do we all agree they should have shot Maria? Like, I'm fully aware why they didn't shoot Maria. This is a movie made for children, like it's PG. They're trying to sell it to kids. I don't think having like government agents like shoot down a little girl is something that Paramount would allow. And whether or not that's messed up is a conversation for another day. But even while being aware of why they didn't shoot Maria, it would have helped so much. Like, having her die because someone shot an explosive that killed her is like so ridiculous. It's like so silly. Saying it out loud makes me realize that was definitely a change made so that they could release this movie at the rating they wanted, because that's so silly. Not someone lights an explosive, but someone shoots an explosive that just happens to be there, and then she dies. It would have helped if, you know, Maria was shot, especially with Shadow looking. I think the fact that Shadow in the game saw Maria die with his own eyes and saw people do it makes his motivation all the stronger. Now, I am still glad that they had it be Gun that killed Maria and it wasn't like some twist or some change or some like, oh my god, Maria's still alive. I think that would have been stupid, and I'm really happy they didn't do that. Having Gun still be the bad guys in this movie, amazing. I'm so happy they did that. There is a big trend with, you know, movies that are being released to sort of lean more towards the government being helpful, even if the source material says something else. And I'm just glad Sonic 3 didn't do that. I'm glad they stuck to the source material and made sure Gun we're still awful people. The changes made to the story aren't huge. Like, if we actually are looking at each individual change on a list, these are not huge changes, but I think that people are gonna think they're huge changes because I think a lot of people were expecting a one-to-one adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. Like, people were expecting Rouge, some people were expecting Amy, some people were expecting Gamma for some reason, when that's not what we were told was gonna happen. We have Shadow, we have Gerald, we have Maria. That's it. And I do think Gerald being alive was a very interesting choice. I understand that they needed multiple antagonists and they still want to keep a smaller anthropomorphic cast, right? Like, if it was just Eggman and Shadow, what the f are they doing? Like, that would be interesting maybe, but that would just be a repeat of what they did in Sonic 2. I can already hear the fandom being mad at the movie for making Gerald's death way different, which I might have issues on. I kind of want to think about it a little more because Gerald's death is really impactful in the original story, but I am at least glad they made his death in this movie funny if they weren't going to make it death by firing squad. But for that same reason, like, they weren't gonna do death by firing squad in this PG movie. I mean, if they did, that would have been awesome, but I don't think they would have. Like, it's very clear that they are just telling a separate story using the same beats and pieces from the general Sonic lore, even building their own mythos with Shadow coming down with like a meteor and shit. Like, let him be. I think the themes and ideas of this movie were interesting and well handled. There's a lot of messages of making the right choice and making choices and being given a path, but also being neglected by others and not letting your past destroy you. And I think that's super interesting. I did just see the movie hours ago, so I can't really break down the themes in like an analysis way, but I think they're pretty cool. Thank that the humans were not in this movie for that long. My biggest issue with the first two Sonic movies is that they spend way too much goddamn time on those human people. And in this movie, they spend like maybe like 10 minutes max on them. And that's counting them with animals on screen. Like, they have nice chemistry and they can set up for good jokes, but when I'm at a Sonic movie, I'm here to see Sonic and Sonic characters do Sonic things, like collect rocks. Like, the humans are the least Sonic thing in this movie and they're not in it a lot. And when they tried to do a fake out death for Donut Lord, I genuinely don't remember his name. Not one person in the theater cared. But you know the most Sonic thing in this movie? The most Dragon Ball Z thing in this movie? This goddamn awesome fight. I'm realizing I don't have footage to show, so enjoy whatever's on there. The fight at the end of the movie is so sick. Like, It's so Dragon Ball Z and I love it. It is the closest thing we are ever gonna get to a good live action Dragon Ball Z movie, and it is awesome. The choreography, the cinematography, the choice of location, like the scale of what's going on, you can feel how titanic and how powerful these two characters are compared to, you know, the fights that occurred within the first two movies. Like really all we saw with Supersonic was that he destroyed a giant robot last time. And now we realize that he's moving fucking mountains and shit. Like, oh my god, this dude is crazy. The fight was really good. So much so that I might want to make a video about it separately. Let me know if you guys would want to see that. And the climax that fight leads into is also very, very good. Now, as we know, there's no Bio-Lizard in this movie, but I don't know if I would have preferred a Bio-Lizard. I think the threat of a giant laser about to explode the Earth is already pretty good. And the visuals are beautiful. The fact that Live and Learn is playing is just great. The fact that some people were worried about that, like, did you guys think they were gonna do this without Live and Learn? They love Live and Learn. They'll use it. If they could use Live and Learn in every commercial, they would, and they still wouldn't pay that main guy. Sega, pay him, you cowards. And talking about the ending, it was a really good end. The final scene with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles really shows their friendship, and that is also another major theme of the film. The idea that you have to do stuff together, like you can't do things alone, and if you do that, I'll send you down a dark, dark path. And showing that with Knuckles included shows that the filmmakers know what's going on and weren't just throwing in like Sonic iconography and succeeding on luck. And with Shadow and Eggman dying, that scene was beautiful. Very interesting way to take the death of Shadow and adapt it. Do I think they're gone forever? Obviously not. But until the day that Jim Carrey fully confirms that he's never returning to acting, these movies will always end with Eggman exploding. And that end credit scene, I mean, even if you saw the movie, I'm not gonna tell you what it is in this video because you gotta go watch that movie yourself. But it is pretty exciting and leaves a lot of questions in terms of where this story is going. A fourth Sonic movie is apparently going to exist, so there is a future. Where they take this, we'll see. That was the end of the spoiler section. You're now back in the non-spoiler section for the rest of the video. Sonic 3 was a fun movie. It was a fun action movie. It was a fun comedy movie. It was a fun Sonic movie. And that's what's important. For years, video game adaptations were absolutely garbage. If your favorite video game was getting a movie, it was definitely going to suck. If video game and movie were in the same sentence, it was probably going to suck, unless it was like a YouTube compilation of like Dragon Ball Z full movie, Raging Blast 2. Then that was awesome. But Sonic is showing us that you can have fun movies based on video games. It's not that hard, and I'm honestly excited. You know, we had the first movie, the second movie, the Knuckles series, and now this, and I have a feeling that it is not going to stop anytime soon. Whatever they have planned for the future, I'm very excited, whether it's movies in the future, shows in the future, I don't know, right? But this live action Sonic world has stuff planned. It has stuff planned. Come to think of it, there are things that they set up in the first two movies that they did not talk about in this one. Dang. This Sonic movie stuff is about to get crazy, and just thinking about it gets me more excited, and especially because this movie was super fun. It makes me want to watch more Sonic movies, like not just consume more Sonic content, but see more work from the team that made this movie. So whatever they have planned for in the future, I am absolutely excited. If you haven't seen the movie still and you want to go watch it, go down to your theater, or you can wait till it drops on streaming. But I would recommend seeing this movie whenever you can. It's probably gonna make a lot of money, so not really in desperate need, but if you want to show support and show what fandom is the freakiest, go out and show that you're a Sonic fan. However, with how fun this movie is, there are some things that are probably going to cause some issues, especially concerning changes within the source material and with certain interpretations of certain characters. But I'll say this was never going to be a one-to-one adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. The first Sonic movie wasn't one-to-one with the first game, the second movie wasn't one-to-one with the next two, and this movie had no reason to be one-to-one with Sonic Adventure 2. So if you're gonna watch this movie and expect to essentially just see the game on the big screen, you're gonna be very disappointed. However, if you go in with an open mind and as a Sonic fan ready to take in a new universe, then you will see characters that you love, moments that you love, references to things that you love, wrapped around a legitimately good story that is fun to watch. And plus, it's a kid's movie. Don't take it too seriously. Very funny coming from me, someone who makes videos taking cartoons too seriously, but it's true. I think a lot of us Sonic fans have a tendency to imagine the series as much more serious than it is. We take isolated moments of drama and serious character acting and badass moments and then inflate it don't Google that. Exaggerate it so that we end up tricking ourselves into thinking that, you know, those moments define the series. It was made as the mascot for a company, but despite that has had amazing games and amazing stories that still resonate with us. And this is another amazing story that is just gonna be different. If you want Sonic Adventure 2, you can always just play Sonic Adventure 2. But I personally had a good time with this movie. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't awful. It's definitely the best of the 3 Sonic movies, I'll say that. But there are some things I wish they did differently and some things I hope, you know, they take into account with the future of this Sonic movie franchise that we're getting. So if you watch this video and somehow respect my opinion enough to care about what I'm saying, thank you. It means a lot. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you're gonna have spoilers, make sure you tag them so that any silly people scrolling down in the comments, you know, they don't get spoiled. But if you haven't seen the movie and you're gonna go in those comments, be wary. I don't control these wild animals, they just do what they want down there. And while you're down there, make sure you help us reach our like goal of 80 likes. It helps the channel. And also click that subscribe button. We have been growing immensely as a channel and it's just really exciting to see where we go from here. And finally, thank you all for an amazing year. This is the last video of 2024. I know it's a bit odd of a video to send off to the year, but I've never made a video as like the final video of the year. So I don't really know what to say, but thank you guys so much. It really means a lot that you guys watch the content, appreciate what I have to say, respect what I have to say, and are willing to have discussions down below, whether you agree or disagree with me, and they are willing to stick around. This channel is for people who love storytelling, appreciate storytelling, and want to learn more and share their love with others. And I'm really happy that I affected so many people from both the One Piece video and the Superman video. The year was definitely rough for some people, but look, it's the end, and if you're watching this video, then that means you made it. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm excited to go into the next year with you by my side as well. And trust me, next year is gonna be big, but I think I'm gonna enjoy the holidays. Technically, I'm recording this before Christmas, but it's coming out after Christmas, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video, and I hope all of you have a damn good one. Peace.